Hello, everyone. It's me, Emmett, the old retired punk rocker, hosting this special edition of Asaph Cafe. And because of the new doctor that's coming up on Doctor Who, the female doctor, and I kind of want, and they've had this huge marathon on BBC TV for those in the audience who are watching by cable, which obviously you are. On BBC America 176, they're having this week-long marathon of the new doctors.
Okay.
But right now, we are on the set of my favorite doctor from about, oh, good gravy, he was from June 8th, 1974 to March 21st, 1981, about almost 6 years, Tom Baker,
Okay,
who was the
Tom
funniest,
Baker,
one of the
yeah.
still some of the best episodes. But I would like to talk to the audience about Doctor Who. I've loved Doctor Who since I was age 8. The difference between the old doctors, which were wonderful, and these new doctors, which I can't stand. I haven't seen the new one that's coming out yet. I hope she's eccentric.
Well, it's a beautiful backdrop
It
here.
is.
We're on the set of Doctor Who,
The
and this is
fourth
the
Tom
original
Baker, yeah.
Doctor Who, right?
This is not the original. The original one was William Hartnell, who was
Okay.
in 1963 and 1966. This is the fourth Doctor.
Fourth Doctor.
Tom Baker, my
But
favorite.
Isn't that a beautiful backdrop?
It
when
is,
you
with
think
the
about
time
it?
warp and, you know, the timescape, or whatever you call it. Kind of like
Okay.
I'm going into light speed on Star Wars, but the time vortex. But first we must pray.
Right, I agree.
Heavenly Father, bless our food and our time together in Jesus' holy name for your glory. Amen.
Amen. I'm in agreement there. All right. I may ask you some questions too while you're explaining here. So, like Emmett stated, for the sake of the television audience, we're on the set of
Yes.
Doctor Who, and you said this was the fourth Doctor Who.
Uh-huh.
The actor, right, that played Doctor Who.
Yes.
Well, why don't you let's start off with the synopsis of the history of Doctor Who. Can you give us some? What's Doctor Who about?
Well, let's see. First, I just kind of would like to let you know briefly, because it's a huge history, the New Doctors, it was a series made in the 1960s, 1963, became very successful to about 1980.
So
You know,
it was a
87 to
television show
89,
originally
yeah,
in the 60s, right? It was a
Yes, in the
television show?
60s through early 80s.
Okay.
And it was wonderful, excellent science fiction. They dropped it, but then they reinvented it in the early 2000s or 2000s. From BBC, again, it's a British television science fiction show.
Okay.
At the outset, there is a tragic difference between the Tom Baker episodes and the older Doctors
Okay.
and the new politically correct doctors, yuppified doctors that they have had. I don't even know who the eighth Doctor was or some of the others, but they were yuppified. I took one look at them. I've tried to get into them, folks. I've tried so hard to sit through them. I can't even sit through the plots. I can't sit through the new Doctors. They're politically correct, yuppified, and they look like nice, normal people, whereas you can tell Tom Baker has a scarf, and he was very eccentric. None of these other doctors from the 60s and 70s were nice, normal people.
Okay.
They were extraterrestrials from the planet Gallifrey, but they were played in such an eccentric way, and it was good, fun science fiction, practically written by 5-year-olds. This could have been on baby TV, the stuff that Tom Baker did. But these newer ones are more for a mature audience, nothing pornographic, but more sophisticated.
You talking about the newer ones?
Yes, refined.
Okay.
For a refined audience that young adults can enjoy in a yuppified way without being embarrassed by all the silly science fiction Dalek content. It's nothing, totally different.
Okay.
And it has ruined the whole concept of Doctor Who. Wrecked it. Ruined it. I cannot stomach these new doctors. I hope I've got nothing wrong with the new female doctor. That's why they're having this Doctor Who marathon. I hope either she's a swashbuckler like Sigourney Weaver saying, "You disgusting Daleks, I'm going to destroy you," or she's an eccentric who talks to washing machines and loves candy and loves donuts.
Well,
Something
I'm
eccentric.
having fun with this donut right here while you're talking.
But anyway, that being said, the origin, it basically centered around the travels of a Time Lord. We don't even know his name, simply the Doctor.
Okay.
From the planet Gallifrey.
You talking about the very first episodes or so?
Yes,
Okay.
from the first series from 1963 to 1989, because they have had different doctors, different actors who have played the Doctor. Basically, and Gallifrey was, we don't know where, but somewhere here in our galaxy, they were Time Lords. They invented the ways to travel through time and space. They could go a million years into the future, a million years into the past. This was, where am I? I can't even, this thing here, if you can see the time box,
Just use your imagination here and see if you can make that work.
Does anybody have any type of thing like a stick I can point at?
Well, let's see if we can make this work. Just stand. If you stand here, you can stand here, Emmett, and then you can right here where I'm at.
Yes.
And you can probably do it.
Oh yeah. And anyway, back here
face the camera more.
Where I'm
there we
pointing.
Okay.
Is called the police box. That is his TARDIS. That's the Doctor's TARDIS. Time and relative dimensions in space.
You mean those little things that are going around his head?
No, that's a time vortex. You see this tiny box that says police box on it?
Yeah.
He was in. They were such a low budget.
Okay.
Such a low budget that they had to use a police box as his, as his spaceship, for lack of a better word. And it wasn't a spaceship. It was a time ship. Okay. Not a spaceship like to the moon.
Okay.
Totally different.
Okay.
But it stood for time and relative dimensions in space. It could travel through space and time. And Doctor Who was a time traveler.
Okay.
And that was fascinating. The fascinating thing about, and the reason they used a police box, that's all they could have the money for.
Okay.
You see, a TARDIS like this could always basically materialize into the form of a giant piano, a grandfather clock, a tree, anything. But for the sake of argument, if you can see the thing, the police box, it says London police box. It materialized in that form permanently and couldn't be repaired.
Oh, okay.
So at least the Doctor's, this particular Doctor's TARDIS was completely malfunctioning.
Okay.
At first, and I have other books on Doctor Who somewhere at home, I think in my closet. Okay. The idea in 1963 about Doctor Who, what the British Broadcasting System wanted was an educational show for children about world history.
And that was the original concept?
That was the original intent.
Okay.
Where the Doctor would be a professor and would only take children back in time from this TARDIS to like the Wild West, caveman days, the dinosaurs, events in world history like how Britain was founded in the Middle Ages.
Right.
To be basically, a historical, fun, educational show for children.
Okay.
And on the second episode, someone had the brilliant idea to say, I'm going to involve an outer space robot called a Dalek in it.
Okay.
And that changed everything. As a matter of fact, what I have here, I got from Spokane, the science fiction convention in Spokane, a program guide, and boy, am I ever glad I kept this. The Doctor Who, the program guides.
Okay.
The programs. As you can see here, this is the first Dr. William Hartnell. This is Patrick Troughton.
Yeah.
This is John Pertwee, the third one.
Okay.
The fourth was Tom Baker. The fifth.
That's the one that we're on the set of right now.
Yes, the fourth Doctor. The reason that they changed doctors so many times was over the years that sometimes the cast had to leave.
Okay.
The people that were playing Doctor Who had to leave and drop out of the series for one reason or the other, and they had to replace him. Now, how would logically you explain why their faces and their voices are so different?
Well, you have to use your imagination, I would imagine, too.
Yeah, a Time Lord from Gallifrey, when they pass on or really ready to die, they actually, what is the word when not regenerate. What is wrong with me? Regenerate?
You know what that reminds me of?
What?
Star Trek Deep Space Nine, I think it is.
Uh-huh.
You know the Dax character?
Yes.
They got that little trill in the body, and when the body
the regeneration,
they switch it to another body, another host.
Yeah, it is regeneration.
Okay.
There's several the body of a Time Lord can regenerate.
Okay.
And completely different body, completely different voice. That's how they would explain it.
Yeah, it sounds like Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Exactly. What I'd like to do is read just to you a couple of synopses. This is the first season, William Hartnell, when it was strictly educational.
Okay.
Susan Foreman, 15, is the Doctor's granddaughter and goes to Cole High School, London. Two teachers, Ian Christensen and Barbara Wright, go to investigate her home background. Home appears to be a police box, which is in fact a TARDIS, time and relative dimensions and space. The Doctor's dimensionally transcendent spaceship, which plunges them all back to the Earth of 100,000 years BC. Okay. They are captured by a tribe which has lost the secret of fire. Two leaders, Kal and Zaw, are involved in a power struggle. Ian makes a fire for Zaw by rubbing two sticks together, but Zaw does not allow the time travelers to leave as promised. By a clever trick, the Doctor and his companions escape to the TARDIS. The TARDIS, not the TARDIS, the TARDIS.
Okay.
In this first story, the Doctor is very much the anti-hero and is portrayed as a tetchy, selfish old man. And you know how that works? Because he's not nice and normal. What better way to play an extraterrestrial than that way?
But by not being nice.
Exactly. Like, oh, I'm the Doctor. I'm more intelligent than you people. You don't even touch that control on the TARDIS. Don't, because they would show sometimes the inside of a TARDIS, which was always larger than the outside.
Okay.
This huge thing with a lot of controls and that kind of thing, you know. Mm-hmm. Now, they described how... The Fourth Doctor one time described that while one of his companions asked, how is it that there's so much room inside this TARDIS rooms when it just looks like an ordinary police box? And he said, this is what the Gallifreyans found out. Let's see. Do you see this? Oh, good gravy.
What are you looking for?
Anything that would look smaller or larger. Do you see this microphone?
Yeah.
It looks small, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait. No. It was larger and smaller as far as... Okay. Now this microphone technically is smaller than the book, or maybe it's something...
Well, maybe lengthwise it might be...
smaller than the can. Look how this candelabra is bigger than this microphone.
Okay.
Okay, how would we fit a candelabra into the size of a microphone? By dimensions. Contrast this.
You mean by shrinking the...
Yes. Contrast this. Let's put the microphone closer to the camera.
Oh,
and it's actually
I see.
Bigger
than the candelabra. Right.
It isn't just a matter of perception. Key Time Lord discovery. You can actually put interdimensionally things that are bigger into something smaller. So that's how they described it.
So that's what they were doing on the series.
Exactly. Okay. And the First Doctor was always like, don't touch that. I'm more intelligent than you are. Neener. Okay. I'm from Gallifrey. You're not. Now let's go fight the Daleks. That works.
Okay, so you're saying that the characters of the Doctor Who started changing over to...
They did, but they were always eccentric.
Including this actor
one,
here.
yes, Tom Baker. Always eccentric, one way or the other. They were not normal people, and that just worked.
Okay. Well, when did it not start working, you think? At least from your point of view.
When they had the Eighth Doctor come on, I don't even remember his name, when they revived the series in the year 2000, early year 2009, 2010, when the BBC revived it, because it had been on hiatus for such a long time, when they made the yuppie ones, where the Doctor looked like a normal person, a yuppie, and acted like a normal person.
Okay. And this is still, what, you said British television?
Yes.
Okay.
But they revamped the
Well, how much time was it from when they stopped the first one before they revamped it, as you're saying, huh?
That would have been approximately, I'm thinking, 1989, 99, 2009, over 20 years.
Oh, I see.
Over 20 years.
You got to remember with different writers and stuff probably, and times change. That's probably why they revamped or changed it or whatever. I don't know.
I know, but doesn't it break your heart? Something so eccentric, something so fun would then be politically correct, yuppified, and the stories were more about plot and characters rather than Daleks saying, we must destroy the Doctor, exterminate. No, all that cheesiness is gone.
Oh, okay.
And that's what's wrong. Now, here's a funny thing. Here's, if I could read the second one with the very grumpy person, very, very grumpy. It was simply called The Daleks, 7 episodes.
Okay.
The TARDIS, now stuck in the shape of a police box because of its faulty chameleon circuit, arrives on the planet Skaro, inhabited by the Blonde Thulls and the evil Daleks, both survivors of centuries of neutronic wars. After generations of mutation, the Thals have become perfect human beings. The Daleks, who lost the use of arms, legs, and bodies, are an evil intelligence housed in a protective metal casing.
Okay.
They're like robots. The Thal tells Susan that his race is starving. She asks the Daleks to help, but they set a trap, and the Thal leader, Timosis, is killed. In a counterattack, the Daleks, powered by static electricity from their city floors, are defeated when the current is cut off, leaving them immobile. This is the story which turned Doctor Who into an overnight success with over 8 million viewers. And the Daleks, remember, this was on a super low budget.
Okay.
Do you know what they used? Miniature salt shakers with this little kind of microphone time thing on top of a salt shaker. Oh. And they just used the salt shakers miniatures as Daleks.
Okay.
And put little beads and little things on the salt shakers. Now, how brilliant is that? Salt shakers as robots. That is absolutely brilliant!
Okay. Now,
Now, the Daleks wanted to destroy all life in the universe and rule it.
Okay.
And they always talk like this. We must destroy the humans and find the renegade Time Lord, the Doctor, and exterminate him. Exterminate! Exterminate the fire lasers. Exterminate! Exterminate! Oh, it was brilliant!
Okay, and so they changed all that, huh?
But they have Daleks, but they're more sophisticated. I like in the newer series that the Daleks can now rise on their own power. You know, they're just not limited, but, you know, it's no longer the cheesy stuff that it used to be.
And that's the problem you have.
Boy, that's the whole problem.
Okay.
Now, the third Doctor, the second Doctor after this Doctor retired was, I'm glad I have my notes from yesterday, was Patrick Troughton.
He was the second actor
yes,
that played Doctor Who. Okay.
I hardly got to see any of his stuff. I mostly just read about it. I saw a couple of old episodes. A lot of these have been lost.
So you must have been a big fan of this show when it first aired then.
Yeah.
You liked the first Doctor, right?
Yeah, I liked the first one. I loved all of them, but my favorite one was Tom Baker.
Okay, yeah, we're getting to him.
I was introduced by to Doctor Who by my mother. She and I would always watch Doctor Who together, the John Pertwee, you know.
Okay, you talking about the first one, right?
No, the third one was John Pertwee. I never
Okay.
saw any of the William Hartnell episodes except
That's the second one.
the first one was William Hartnell, the old man.
Okay.
Except a lot of his episodes have been destroyed. He's been on some reunions like the Five Doctors and some others, which are pretty good.
So they don't have no archival stuff of those
Hardly.
works of the
or even
first
Patrick
one?
Troughton, the second one. A lot of them were
Okay.
lost in a fire.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's horrible.
Okay.
Patrick Troughton was the second Doctor.
Okay.
He was more like a gentle clown, completely different character,
But
completely
you still
different
liked the
personality.
show and liked him overall, okay.
Yeah, even though the few times I saw him, they had a few episodes of him somewhere on BBC America. This is the second one.
Right.
He was more like a gentle clown, kind of a funny character who always played, you know those musical instruments children play called recorders?
Yeah, uh-huh.
He liked those. And he would fight Dalek, and that was really nice.
Okay.
He played from 1966 to 69.
Got it.
Then he had to leave. Then John Pertwee was one of my favorites from 1970 to 1974.
Okay.
He was more of a swashbuckler type. He was just kind of had very fancy clothes, not yuppified, but an older gentleman with white hair with kind of fancy clothes, and just kind of had a very authoritative, almost a swashbuckler type style to him, but very interesting. Now, what interesting is what happened here. Once they started getting the science fiction stuff, the Doctor's mission was to go out into outer space and fight for truth and justice in outer space and right the wrongs in the galaxy and the universe, kind of like a superhero would, but he didn't have any superpowers.
Oh, okay, I see.
There's just one problem. The Time Lords didn't like that. You see, according to Time Lord philosophy, if you're going to be on that council or Time Lord from the planet, anyone from the planet Gallifrey, you cannot interfere in the cultures of the universe. You cannot go out there. You're going to observe the universe. You cannot help anyone in distress, even though they've been killed by 1,000 Daleks, which is ridiculous.
I see.
The Time Lords punished him by exiling him permanently on Earth. They took away his ability to travel through time and space and put his TARDIS right smack on Earth in London. So for a while, as punishment, he just was stuck on Earth, and all of his adventures were on Earth. He finally started helping an outfit in London called the United Nations Intelligence Task Force, or UNIT for short.
Okay.
Because there were a lot of alien invasions from Earth, like from the Daleks and some others, and he was as an alien consultant. They knew he was from an extraterrestrial. The interesting thing about the Gallifreyans, they're completely human, except they have twin hearts. They have 2 hearts, one on each chest. Yeah, one on each lung, yeah.
Okay, twin hearts.
Yeah, this particular doctor was also loved fine food. That was his eccentric quality.
Okay.
One time when they wrote an episode called The Day of the Daleks, I'll never forget. He had there had been some brigadier or some who basically might have been some sort of time portal opening up in his home, and they had to go investigate this. But they were on their own between. Oh yeah. The Day of the Daleks. This was a good one. The Peace Diplomat, I'm sure glad I kept this book after all these years.
Yeah,
Sir
you're on
Reginald
TV
Styles,
talking about it.
Is attacked by guerrillas who escaped to their 22nd century world, taking the Doctor with them.
Okay.
They are ruled by the Daleks and their ape-like slaves, the Orgrons. The guerrillas say that they are Styles because in the 20th century, he murdered world leaders, starting a world war, which enabled the Daleks to conquer the Earth. They want to prevent this.
Mm-hmm.
The Doctor realizes that the real murderer, however, was a gorilla sent to kill Styles. The Doctor escapes from the Daleks and hurries back to the 20th century, where he has Styles' house evacuated. The gorilla, Shura, destroys only the Daleks and the Orgrons, who are pursuing the Doctor, with a daclaconium bomb. The future is saved. Kind of confusing, but the Doctor and Joe, his companion, often he has companions.
Okay.
He decided, they were guarding his castle, Brigadier Styles' castle, and they decided to have some food and drink. The Doctor said, carrying this cachet of wine and some cheese and some food, says one thing about the Army, a brigadier like this, they always have a well-stocked larder. Let's see, Sir Reginald Styles, a sir, not a brigadier, but Sir Reginald, it's kind of a lord type, an aristocrat from, Europe, from England,
Right.
And basically he said, come on, Joe, you must be hungry. Please eat something. It's going to be a very long night that we have to guard this castle. And then the Doctor was sipping some wine.
Mm-hmm.
Tasting it, saying, this very not too dry, not too sweet, but not too sarcastic. A wine after my own heart. I mean, enjoying good food, good wine.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think these newer doctors in these new series from the 2005 to 2000 would not. I don't think they'd appreciate fine wine or be eccentric.
Oh, I see.
They're not eccentric.
And that's another problem you have.
They're not eccentric. It just breaks your heart. Finally, a show called The Three Doctors. Finally, after helping the Time Lords, he's summoned back to Gallifrey to help the Time Lords. Just in passing, the Three Doctors returned for their rightful places, and because the Doctor saved the universe and saved the Time Lords, the Time Lords, this is from the first 3 Doctors that they had, John Pertwee and, good gravy. Why do I keep forgetting my notes?
Oh, you're doing
I'm
fine.
terrible
I think you're doing fine.
Patrick Troughton and William Hartnell, they had a reunion, kind of a family reunion of all 3 of them.
Yeah.
The Time Lords lift their exile sentence. The Doctor is free again to roam time and space.
Okay.
But then he left, and my favorite Doctor, the one we're talking about, Doctor Tom Baker, came along.
Okay.
Tom Baker, to me, was Doctor Who.
Okay.
Tom Baker was it. He was the Doctor from 1974, June 8th, to March 21st, 1981.
Okay.
I found out about him, in Lewiston, Idaho, before I moved to Missoula. They had an episode called The Five Doctors, briefly on KSPS. You see, these used to be broadcast on PBS.
Really? Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they did.
Okay.
And it used to even be that they were only half-hour shows in a weekly format, usually on Sunday afternoon.
Okay.
Let's say you had 8 episodes, cliffhangers, like from, John Pertwee, like Spearhead from Space, 4 episodes. It would take a month to show them all on a weekly basis, like on Sunday afternoon, and they would always end with a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Let's say The doctor was surrounded by the Daleks who were saying, "Exterminate! Exterminate!" And the Daleks were closing, and these, John, whatever you call them, what did I call salt shakers? Salt shakers, the giant salt shakers, which is so silly. That would be the cliffhanger.
Okay.
Then they would come back to the credits, and they would have, the TARDIS going back into this, time vortex.
Okay.
The theme was an unusual one. It's science fiction type. I can't play it on the piano, but something to the effect of da 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 da. I'm not very good at minor key, to sing minor key.
Well, that's fine. A lot of people can't sing. I don't sing.
And sometimes it was 6 episodes, the same thing. Mm-hmm. But I saw the 5 Doctors in Lewiston because they were trying to see if PBS would even pick up the newer Doctors.
And they did. Did PBS pick it up? Okay.
And they finally did. When I moved to Missoula in 1984, we had PBS, we had KSPS. Now we just have KUFM. We had KSPS from Spokane, Washington.
Okay.
And they were running all of the Tom Baker episodes in the afternoon.
Wow. Excuse me. Okay.
Even during the summertime, every day, like from 4:30 to 5:30, just kind of like in a movie. Mm-hmm. No, not even really in a movie. I think they had enough half-hour chunks, but usually it would take a week to finish it. So they would have one of the older episodes, now that I remember, of Tom Baker, and one of the newer ones back to back. I was often even would babysit a friend of mine. I just met him.
And be watching that.
Yes, and we would be watching that. I was 16. He was 8. He was kind of a friend of mine. He had just met, and his mother didn't mind me babysitting him. And the shows were so G-rated, it's fine for an 8-year-old to watch that. Because I was 8 years old when I started watching it. He loved it too.
Cool.
I mean, and with this doctor, Tom Baker,
it'd probably be better if you stood right here in front of this table if you're gonna, so that you can be seen on camera. Stand in front of the table when you make your...
Oh, I just like being here.
Okay, that's fine.
But anyway, yeah, he always had, as you can tell, curly hair. He wore scarves and kind of a trench coat and a floppy hat.
A floppy hat?
But yeah, kind of a floppy hat that looked kind of like this. I wish we had gotten better pictures, but we couldn't find much from the internet.
Okay.
Anyway, he was such a silly doctor. Even before his transformation, one of the people knew about his transformation because he was on some other planet, said, "Please take care of this doctor.
Okay.
He's gonna have such a feeble mind."
Mm-hmm.
Well, his regeneration was kind of hard, but anyway, he was the silly doctor who would jump rope, even as a grown-up, and say, "I really am sick. I've got to see the doctor. Quick. It is so funny. It's like, how eccentric." Finally, since he was free of unit, he said to the Brigadier General, whatever his name was, "Oh, I'm going to go back to the TARDIS. Goodbye!" And he slammed the door on his face, and the Brigadier said, "Come on, Doctor, there's a giant robot on this loose." "Oh, no, I'm really too busy to talk to you. Ciao, bye-bye." And finally he said, "Oh, okay, I'll help you." So, and I thought that was, because I hadn't seen the later ones of John Pertwee, I thought that's when the Fourth Doctor was liberated to roam time and space again. But he was eccentric. He loved jelly beans.
Oh.
Okay. And he called them jelly babies. He would ask, "Would you like a jelly baby? Would you like a jelly baby?" And he loved candy. And he had such an eccentric way and always cracking jokes. And he was a silly doctor and a very funny one, but involved in some of the best writing I've seen in my life.
Well, if Tom Baker ever sees this, he's going to know that you're a big fan of his.
Oh, yeah. It was incredible. And those episodes that had some brilliant writing, like
does Doctor Who, it doesn't come on anymore now, does it? It's just in reruns?
That's the whole problem. That's what I'm trying to say. The new Doctors, remember, they've done new series of the Doctor.
Do you know when they started this new series of Doctor Who?
Around 2005, 2004, I'm not sure. I think 2005. So they've restarted them.
Okay.
With new Doctors. There's been an 8th Doctor, a 10th Doctor, 11th Doctor. And these newer Doctors, the new series of Doctor Who's from 2005 till now, are so different. That's why I'm complaining.
So after number 4, you said did you like 5 and 6 and 7 before? Because you said you didn't like 8.
Yeah, I liked 5 and 6.
Okay,
I
on
didn't get
7.
much to see 7. But number 4, the Tom Baker, he was my favorite.
Well, that's a
for
beautiful
many years.
That's a beautiful backdrop.
It is.
I like it. I just like that. You said he was time traveling in this picture.
Yes,
here,
yes.
right?
That's how they open the credits of Doctor Who, with this scene. And in the time ship, the
Look on the
TARDIS.
bright side, you're a big Doctor Who fan, and you and I squeezed ourselves on the set of Doctor Who.
Good point.
Yeah.
If I had to choose a favorite episode, it would be this one. For some reason that they never explained, he lost the TARDIS for a couple of episodes, and he had a time ring. That I think he had, and I don't know why he lost the TARDIS, I can't remember, but he and his companions would join the time ring and start floating around in outer space like in this or something. But there was an episode called Genesis of the Daleks where we found out how the Daleks were created.
Okay.
Yeah, the Time Lords send the Doctor, Sarah, his companion, and Harry to the planet Skaro at a time when the war between the Thals and the Khalids is reaching its final stage.
Okay.
The Doctor's mission is to prevent the birth of the dreaded Daleks who evolved out of this war. Hunted by both sides in a war-torn world, the Doctor eventually becomes a prisoner of Davros, the brilliant crippled Khalid scientist.
Okay.
Davros has invented a travel machine to house the creatures into which the Khalids, genetically crippled by centuries of warfare, will eventually mutate. But Davros is obsessed by his own creation as giving it destructive powers and a ruthless intelligence which were not part of the original design. These travel machines are destined to become the Daleks. Mm-hmm. The Doctor helps to lead a revolt of Khalid scientists horrified by what Davros is doing. But Davros, in his determination to preserve the Daleks, helps the Thals destroy his own people with a super missile. Then he uses the Daleks, now fully operational, first to wipe out the Thal city, then to destroy those remaining Khalids who oppose him. Some Thals survive. The Doctor manages to entomb Davros in the fortified bunker which has become his final refuge. Here the Daleks turn on Davros, destroying their creator. The Doctor refuses to destroy the Daleks when he has the chance on the grounds that it would be genocide, he says. That even when the Daleks, a greater good will eventually emerge. And that drove me nuts. He could have prevented this. And he thought, I don't have a right to destroy life on a grand scale. Can I make the decision? It's like, that's so easy. I would have. I would have wiped out those dangers in a minute. Whisked away from Skaro by the Time Lords, that time ring, the travelers disappear. Well, it was brilliant writing because this Davros was kind of this mutated alien, who sat in a chair like this and was kind of half man, half alien, half Dalek.
Okay.
But anyway, he imprisoned the Doctor, forcing the Doctor to describe how the Doctor defeated the Daleks over all these many centuries. Okay. He had a henchman named Nider, who was kind of like a Nazi, in a Nazi uniform, and finally said, "Take this recording, Nider, and seal it away. Priceless it is." He had a voice kind of like this, and he could barely, "Now, Doctor." Mm-hmm. This is some of my favorite dialogue from, that show, The Genesis of the Daleks.
Right.
This is the campy acting that they don't have in the newer series. This is the campy acting. I want to describe some of the campy dialogue that they don't do anymore.
Go ahead.
Let us discuss things, not as prisoner and captor, but as men of science. You've seen my Daleks in operation. Incredible. Mm-hmm. And then the Doctor asked Davros, if you had a virus that you could create that could wipe out life on a mass scale of an interplanetary scale, in a tiny vial, would you press it? And Davros was intrigued, saying, imagine that. In my hand, life and death. The single pressing on the glass could annihilate many people on entire planets.
Okay.
That kind of power would put me above the gods, and the Daleks will have that power! You don't get that dialogue anymore. Then finally, when he was being killed by the Daleks and the Daleks turned on him, Davros said, when the approaching Daleks were coming after him, we will destroy you. Then he said, please, don't destroy me. Have pity. Then the Daleks said, pity. We do not know the meaning of the word. And they just just it said exterminate, exterminate. They killed Davros, and they said, "We Daleks will rule the universe. We Daleks will rule the universe." And that's how it ended. Brilliant. And they don't do that anymore.
Oh well, maybe someday.
It's no longer a fun series.
Well, maybe it'll be another
It's
fun
mature
series for you.
and. I don't know how much time we have.
We got about 15 minutes left. I've just been listening and watching, and it's fun watching you there.
Thanks. And you know what? I have never understood. Do you know why Tom Baker left?
No, I don't.
I read it in Starlog magazine, or I think a book on it, on Doctor Who. I don't understand.
You gotta take these stories with a grain of salt. You know?
Well, this isn't a story. This is why Tom Baker left this series.
All right.
He made an agonized thing. He said he went to work loving playing Doctor Who every day.
All right, that's.
And he loved it.
Mm-hmm.
He loved it. But he had an agonizing decision to make. He decided on his own he wanted to leave the series. One, he wanted to grow as an actor and have other parts.
Well, that's a common thing with actors. Like when they do a certain character for so long, they want to expand their acting, as they call it, and
also he wanted other people to know the joy of being Doctor Who.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
To me, it doesn't. If you have a job you love, where you're playing the Doctor, and you can tell by his acting, the way he did it, he loved it. You're coming to work every day not dreading it, but loving it. It pays a good wage. It puts food on the table and a roof over your head.
I see your point, but I see both points because, like Leonard Nimoy playing Spock, he got to a point where he wanted to see other actors enjoy the opportunity to play the character too. So
it doesn't make sense to me. Why would he leave a job he loved, which is so rare to have a job you love, which is paying money?
But it
makes no sense.
We were talking about, sometimes people want others to have the joy of the thing that they were given. So I can see both sides. I can see your side, and I can see why somebody could leave something for somebody else to have the same opportunity. I could see that.
Yeah, but it's like...
And I see your point too, the stability of a job and the acting
that you love.
And,
that you treasure. You love every day going to work. Most people dread their jobs.
I think that's just an individual thing that each person has to decide for themselves, don't you think?
I guess so.
Because like both sides that we're talking about, I can see that. Mm-hmm. Some people get such joy out of doing something, they want others to experience it. Others just keep it going forever and ever. And
he could have kept it going forever and never
and
never. We never would have been in the debacle we're in with these lousy doctors if he had just stayed put, Yeah. And so, now the fifth Doctor, when he left, oh good gravy, the notes I had to fold them. Peter Davidson, he played the Doctor from March 21st, 1981 to March 16th, 1984.
Okay. Now, while you're explaining it to the television audience, I'm going to walk off real quick and invite Scott for the last remaining minutes if he wants to get in on this Doctor Who conversation. So you just keep explaining to the television audience while I'm gone. You're talking about the fifth Doctor Who, so...
Yes.
Just look in the camera and start talking to them. I'll be right back.
Well, this was the fifth Doctor, Peter Davidson. Folks, honestly, I don't think he was the best. He was kind of a bloppy doctor. He was very young. And after his regeneration, he had some waves of nausea and that kind of thing after a difficult regeneration. But his motif was a cricket player, a croquet player. An English cricket player who plays cricket with a cricket outfit and a cricket jacket. And
have a seat right here. We got a guest here. What's your name?
I'm Todd.
Todd, I'm Asaph.
My name's Emmett.
Nice to meet you, Emmett.
And Emmett is hosting for today, and you can sit around the set of Doctor Who.
Am I sitting right here?
Right there. Just go up to the edge.
Are you familiar with Doctor Who?
I sure am.
Yeah,
I'm more familiar with the newer seasons, not so much the older ones.
Well, then I wish you had
no. See, he likes the older ones, and so we can get a point of view from the newer sets.
Exactly. I can't stand the newer ones.
Why is that?
Because it's politically correct, and the newer Doctors are not eccentric. They're yuppified. They're nice, normal
really?
people.
Well, he likes the more,
you don't think,
what do you call it, campy.
Exactly.
So you don't think that the newer ones are eccentric?
No.
Really?
They
Okay.
dress normal.
Well, you got to
they
remember,
act
this is
normal.
probably a generational thing. Hold on, before we go further, why don't you introduce yourself to
Hello,
the television
I
audience?
am Todd Williams, and I have
Williams?
seen Doctor Who.
Yeah, and before we go further, for the TV audience, like I said, the name of the show is Asaph Cafe. Thanks for joining
Sure,
us.
man.
Normally, I'm sitting there playing, but I'm letting Emmett host it today because he's a big Doctor Who fan.
Okay.
From the older days.
Yeah,
Older days,
and
okay.
it's just impromptu. There's no script on
Okay.
this. You just talk. And normally, I'm playing all that Sinatra dinner
Yeah.
music.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And stuff like that. So, go ahead. So Emmett is from old school. He
Yeah,
likes the
I'm
more
50
campy
going on 51.
Okay.
version. And
How old are
obviously,
you?
look pretty young. So.
I'm 31.
Yeah, so
That
see,
would be
yeah.
a generational difference.
Yes, it would. Yeah.
And that's what's interesting about it. He
Yeah.
may like the newer,
Yeah, and the
compared to
newer
the old.
series because they revived this series in 2005, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. With what's his name? I forget his name.
There's the book right.
Well, this is only covers the first 4 Doctors.
Yeah, yeah. It's the guy that revamped the whole series.
He revamped it
Yes.
and made it totally different.
Now he may not see it that way, so just keep that in mind. Emmett.
Yeah, I
this
know, but-
This is probably a generational.
I've-
Have you
I've-
seen the older ones with Tom Baker?
I have seen clips.
Have you ever seen whole episodes?
No,
with
I've
Tom?
not.
Totally different.
Is he the one with the scarf?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Totally different. I loved it.
Yeah, this
because
is
it was
Emmett's
campy,
favorite.
it was
Okay.
cheesy, and the episodes were more science fictiony, and the doctors were much more.
I will
eccentric.
say this. I will say with the Peter Capaldi, who was the latest Doctor. I forget who the lady's name who's taken over as the Doctor, but
Yeah.
I felt that the stories that they were telling with his character were way out there and bizarre, and that's
I
kind of
like that. I like that, but to me, the heart and soul of Doctor Who is the Doctor himself. He has to be an eccentric. And I know this latest Doctor before the female takes over, yeah, he was more, I almost thought I might like him. He was older, kind
But
of
he
more
was rock and
swashbuckling.
roll, man. That was his whole jam.
I didn't think he was rock and roll. I would have loved a Doctor to be a punk rocker. A punk rocker. Because I used to be
Alright.
a punk rocker.
Okay.
Well,
Mohawk leather jacket.
Emmett is a punk rocker.
I used to be.
Okay.
Well, don't you think we need a doctor with a mohawk and a leather jacket who slam dances at shows?
I-
That'd be perfect.
I don't know.
I would have played the doctor that way.
Well,
Okay.
you're being a good sport, being put on the spot here to debate Doctor
No, it's fine.
Who's here,
I'm not. I don't know all the things Doctor Who, but I did watch.
Yeah.
So Peter, what's his name? I'm bad with names.
Peter Davison,
No, the
Colin Baker.
Tennant.
You guys keep talking. I'm
Don't
going
know
to recruit some
Tennant.
last people.
Okay.
The
He,
fir-
he was my first Doctor.
The 8th one.
Probably.
Yeah, the yuppified one, the young yuppie with yuppie clothing.
Maybe.
Not one with a scarf.
No. But he was my first Doctor because he's the one I got into the series with.
Yeah.
And they always say your first Doctor is your favorite Doctor.
Yeah.
So he was kind of David Tennant.
Yeah, my
David
first
Tennant.
doctor was John Pertwee from when I was 8 years old. My second doctor, which is my favorite, was this doctor, Tom Baker. So
Baker? Okay, yeah.
eccentric. The 5th doctor, Peter Davison, like I was explaining to the audience, he was kind of a bloppy doctor. Not politically correct, and I liked the episodes. He had a cricket outfit. You know, croquet from England.
Yeah.
A cricket outfit. He was young. He was just kind of a bloppy doctor without much of a sense of humor.
So also the old Doctor Who's didn't have high budgets either.
And that's one thing I loved about it. They didn't have high budgets. And you know what? I think that worked.
And you get in there too.
It really worked. Don't you think sometimes when you have a high budget, it ruins things?
I think it causes you to be more creative. Sure.
Squeeze in more.
Yeah, and I think it's just
Yeah,
better.
there we go.
Have you seen the way they have the inside of the TARDIS now? It looks like a mess of wires and everything.
Yeah, I love
used
it.
to be a lot cleaner, a lot more sophisticated. The thing going up and down. What's his name? Peter Davison was just kind of a dull doctor, not as dull as the others. Mm-hmm. Colin Baker from March 16th, 1984 to December 6th, 1986. That was a heck of a
Now
lot
hold
better.
on, hold that thought. Let's introduce Neil Wells here. And General Manager Joe Baird, and they're
everyone.
catching the tail end
Yes.
of our Doctor Who conversation.
Yeah.
Emmett likes the older school campy version.
Yes.
And tell me your name again.
I'm Todd Williams.
Todd Williams likes
Yeah.
the the more modern.
Well, because I never watched the old ones.
That's kind of where I am. I
Yeah,
never
well,
really
and
watched
then
a ton
like
of
I was
it.
saying, this is a generational thing too. See,
Yeah.
And,
If you can Google
never
up the old
watched it
episodes
ever.
online,
Oh, really? Okay.
like from Tom Baker, you will cry at how much better the Tom Baker episodes are compared to any of this modern stuff.
Now,
It's real
who
science.
is imaged behind
Tom
us?
Baker.
this
Tom
is
Baker.
And
now
is he
this
the
is
new
the
or the
fourth
old
Doctor.
No, he's the older.
This
He's
is
the
the
fourth
old Doctor,
Doctor.
the fourth
Four.
Doctor, the
Oh,
most
And
famous
this is-
one.
Yeah,
The
probably
most famous
known.
one.
And
Yeah.
it's Emmett's personal favorite Doctor.
Oh.
I
It's
don't
so
know, Neil, if you
eccentric.
would know this Doctor Who.
No, I know him. I haven't really watched it.
It's fantastic.
Did you guys? I'm late to the party. Did you explain to the viewers a little context, like this is a British sci-fi?
Yes,
Yeah,
I did.
we
Yes, I
covered
did.
that. Yeah.
show running?
Yeah,
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Oh,
we
yeah.
covered all
I've
of
never
that.
seen it. What does Doctor Who typically get up to?
Well, fighting
the
aliens
thing.
and outer space robots,
got
Daleks,
Daleks.
fighting for truth and justice in outer space. But it's been a show that's been on since 1963, and then for a while
Wow.
took a hiatus for about 25
Did
years.
you ever see the documentary? Not documentary, but it was the reenactment of the first Doctor and how they got the whole show put together and everything.
I didn't see that. No.
It's touching. It's very interesting because they had
Yeah.
zero money.
Yes.
And the BBC was kind of like, all right, we're going to take a chance, but we're not going to give you much.
Right.
And so the lady who helped design the show, that she went to the costume department and the set department,
Yeah.
and they're like, okay, what do you want? And she was at a table, and she just grabbed a handful of things and put together the TARDIS, and she's like, this? And that was
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
And you know, it's like the low budget kind of continues through even the beginning of the newer series.
Definitely.
I didn't see
David
it. I saw
Tennant
this.
still ended up being pretty low budget in terms of its effects.
But is
Right.
David Tennant the one who created the new Doctor
No.
Who
No,
series?
he's the
first
10th Doctor who really kind of brought it back into popularity.
Yeah, there was a seventh Doctor. I don't know who the 8th or 9th Doctors was. Was that started in 2005, the newer one?
The 9th Doctor was the 2001st one. to come
That's
back.
how many
Yes.
actors have played Doctor
Oh,
Who over
there's
the years?
more than
8 or
that.
9?
I think they're
Yeah.
up to 13 or 14.
Yeah, and they're
13 or
supposed to
14 Doctor
die
Who's right
at
now?
age at
Because
12
there's
generations.
a
It's
brief
supposed
one.
to stop, and they
They found ways around it. It's science
doesn't
fiction.
it just
Yeah,
drive you
there's
crazy?
always a way out in science fiction.
Of course
Yeah,
there
you
is.
got to remember, as the generations come, like we were talking
Yeah.
about, things are going to change.
Yeah, but I'm a purist. I say when it stops, it stops.
But
And
think
that's
of the,
Emmett's way. That's just
and
the
I
way
know
he is.
Emmett has strong opinions about the Star Wars,
Yeah.
but it's just an extraordinary franchise now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you think that cinema itself has only been, like, where are we? We're at 2018. 100 years ago, in 1918, the notion that people are going to watch flickering images that represent
Yeah.
humanity and difficult moral issues
Yeah.
or exciting stories. This whole process is not even 100 years old.
Right.
But nobody is watching the silent serials.
Right.
The Tom Mixes even
Yeah.
people aren't watching.
I don't know who that is.
Right. So Star Wars though
Yeah.
is in a way one of the oldest ongoing legacies of this
Yes.
thing we call cinema. And I guess Doctor Who must be
Yeah,
its correlate.
yeah,
Star
for
Wars
TV, for
76,
science fiction, yeah.
Doctor Who 1963 was the
Yes.
first year or something. So one is 55 years old and the other's nearing 42 years of Star Wars.
Yeah.
And I think people are starting to enjoy the same sort of, like, think of the classical books you had to read in high school. Mark Twain.
Yeah.
Right? Huckleberry Finn.
Oh, yeah.
Or A Separate Peace by John Knowles, or whatever these texts are. Even Greek mythology. A
Yeah.
lot of us were subjected
Yeah.
willingly or unwillingly to Greek mythology, like in 9th and 10th grade.
Yeah.
So we learned a little bit about who Zeus might have been, or Hera, or Persephone, or what have you.
Yeah.
There's very little intergenerational stories. That's all I'm saying.
That's a
is
good
that
point.
In the American psyche, our memory seems to go back about 2 months.
Yeah.
It's a blank, right? You ask younger kids, like, oh, how about that John F. Kennedy assassination? They'd be like, who was that guy? And you're amazed, right? That they don't know.
Kind of sounds like what I was
who
talking
a
about, this
president of the
generational
United
thing that
States
changes.
But then, we kind of also have the 30 years of nostalgia cycle. For example, like all the reboots that are coming out from the 80s, RoboCop, like, that came out earlier this
Yeah.
decade.
Also, Back to the Future is one
Back to
of
the
Christian
Future.
Ackerman's obsessions.
And they're
Back to
probably
the-
Or
nothing
Thing,
like the
classic
original.
was remade.
Right.
They probably rechanged the whole thing.
But
I'm a
parents
purist.
like to share
So-
their pleasures with their kids.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch Battlestar Galactica, the old
I loved the old
Okay, what
one.
about the new one?
I hated it.
Ah!
I despised it. I absolutely
Gotta go, but it was very
despised
nice
it.
to join
All right,
this
thanks for joining us,
conversation.
See, I love
We got
the new
about
one.
5 minutes left.
Okay.
Yeah, but the
You're
thing
welcome
is,
to join us.
the old Battlestar Galactica was science fiction with its symphonies and its lasers and the Cylons going, we will destroy the Galactica, we will fire we fire aft mega lasers. The other one, what I was trying to say also about Battlestar Galactica, the new one, and this new Doctor Who series from 2005, like I was telling Asaph, the old Doctors from, this Doctor, Tom Baker and the others, could have been written by 5-year-olds, created for 5-year-olds, with cheesy monsters that won't scare anybody, 5-year-old writing. These new series are for mature, sophisticated adults without any of the impossible stuff, and to me it ruins it.
Okay, fair.
What do you
Well,
think,
All right,
Neil?
well, we'll have to leave it at that.
Okay.
I'm sure Neil
Personally,
probably.
I find that Doctor Who, at least the new series, does mostly resonate with just
With younger audiences,
With
yeah,
younger
audience. Yeah,
audiences,
see, that's
you know.
what we're talking about.
Um,
as the
in my
generations,
experience
as the
anyway, that's pretty
generations come,
anecdotal.
yeah.
But it's not for 5-year-olds. I mean, a 5-year-old could have written robots called Daleks, which originally were salt shakers, and going, I'm a 5-year-old. I'm going to play Doctor Who in the outside with my friends Leo. Destroy the Doctor. Destroy. I mean, it would have been perfect for preschools and children. I mean, but this was, and same with the new Battlestar Galactica.
Right.
No lasers. Sophisticated plots, no longer we will destroy the Galactica, dun 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 dun, doo, 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 doo.
I mean,
No longer of that cheesy stuff.
But I
If
think
I'll
the
be honest,
go ahead. Go ahead.
the Daleks in the new series,
Yes.
it honestly feels like, to me anyway, they fall back on them too much.
Yeah.
Because that's every other villain that shows up, it seems like.
Well, that's the only good thing about the new series, but it's like, it's no longer, the only thing I like about the new Daleks is that they can actually move upstairs. They can actually,
Right.
rather than just saying, but at the same time, it's just the writing is different, and the doctors are different. They're no longer eccentrics. Like Colin Baker, after Peter Davison mercifully retired, was very eccentric. He had this tacky outfit and a tacky colored umbrella, and he was a silly doctor, kind of like Tom Baker, kind of very silly doctor. He had a very hard regeneration where he almost killed his companion Perry in a way, but he finally wanted to do penance on some desolate planet, but is involved in some other intrigues. But he was very eccentric. He even said this, his companion Perry said, I miss the old doctor. You used to be sweet. And Colin Baker said, sweet? Sweet? That says it all. I can't stand sweet. It definitely was not me. I'm an eccentric. And finally, I don't know much about Sylvester McCoy. Basically, he played the spoons, and kind of like playing the spoon. But then he developed into a much darker nature. I hardly saw him, but it's been fascinating, this debate about which Doctor is better. Which Doctor do you think is better? The newer series?
Well,
or the
these young people here are going to probably like the more modern.
Yeah, but
younger
Neil hasn't
versions.
chimed. Which do you like better? The newer one?
Personally, my favorite Doctor is David Tennant as the Doctor.
Yeah, the 10th one.
Yep, 10th Doctor.
And probably your favorite
Yeah,
too.
that was
right?
he was mine. Yep.
Yeah.
But wasn't he yuppified? Didn't he dress in ordinary clothes and have an
He
ordinary...
dressed in a
A
suit
suit.
and Converse.
Yeah.
But see, Emmett, to sum this up, because we're literally out of time.
Yeah, that's the
it's
whole promo
just,
suit.
it's a generational thing. So
Good point.
As the younger crowd come, you have to make it relevant to them. Too.
Yeah,
True.
I guess
You
so,
know.
but it loses its eccentricity. I mean,
from your point of view, but not from their point of view.
I was
so.
almost in tears. Sometimes I'm in tears just watching the newer Doctor seeing what. So for those out there in TV land, if you can Google up any of the old episodes of Doctor, like
There you go.
Colin Baker or Tom Baker. This one from with the
Scarf,
scarf
yeah.
and the curly hair. You'll see contrast night and day. You'll just love it. But we must sign off.
Yeah, we got to
so-
sign up. Any last minute thing you want to say? You guys got any last minute words?
I
We're out
say
of
you
time.
like what you like, and you do you, and that's all it comes
There
down
it
to.
is. Neil, anything?
I have had jelly babies, and they are delicious.
Well, it's a real joke to lighten the mood. We enjoyed it, but there were these two washing machines, and they were watching the old Tom Baker episodes of Doctor Who, and they were fascinating, and they were splashing around a coffee cup. Then this one dryer came along and said, "Oh, I can't see around that! Ha ha ha!" Well, I'm
sorry
Emmett,
about
the
that.
old
It's good.
retired punk rocker, and this is Asaph.
Yeah, I am the host of this show. This is called Asaph Cafe, and we drafted this young man here, and Neil and the general manager Joel. And you can see you get a format for this. We do this every week. It's
This is
just
fun.
a silly, impromptu.
This is fun. I love it.
We talk about Star Trek.
I'm happy to come on and talk about whatever. So.
All right, we'll have to invite you again sometime.
Cool.
And until our next show, Maranatha.
That's
if you
it.
can shut it down.
All right, you guys just don't move till I'll walk around and shut everything down.
Okay.
Make yourselves at home.
Okay.
I've tried. I heard this in Lewiston one time. I've tried to play it ever since.